Welcome back, guys.
Start over. I was in the middle of a breath.
I was like, why aren't you talking?
All right, good. 3.
All right.
3, 2, 1.
We had everything going against us.
Yeah, we were young. We were broke. We didn't know anything about business. We literally started from nothing.
We were never supposed to make it. Hey, what's up, guys?
Welcome back.
Hey, welcome to episode number
14.
14. I was about to say 13. And first off, thank you for all the shares, reviews, likes, subscribes, posts, shares on Instagram. Mm-hmm. Every time you drop it in a Big Hierarchies group chat, all that good stuff. We appreciate that. And, it's cool. It's awesome to be able to do this. We're excited. We're on, 3.5 months now?
Yes. Yeah, 3 months.
Which is crazy. But it's been good. It's been really good. And we've gotten a lot of feedback that never gets old. We enjoy reading your comments on YouTube and all that other stuff. So
yes. Yeah,
awesome.
Definitely.
So thank you.
Yeah.
And we have a topic today.
Another highly requested topic.
Ronnie's favorite topic.
Yes.
Ronnie hates this topic.
I do hate talking about this topic.
Why do you hate it so
you
much?
guys requested it. Well, let's tell them what the topic is.
No. First, tell us why you hate it, and then they could guess what it is. Well, they already know what it is. It says it in the title. Ronnie hates this topic. It's called How to Work in Business with Your Spouse or Business Partner.
Yes.
Now, tell us why you hate it so much.
I'll tell you why I hate the typical topic, which is, how to, what do they call it? The supportive spouse meetings. I hate those. That's what I hate. And the reason I hate those is because they always put people in such a box.
No, even worse, they call them partners meetings.
A partners meeting, yeah. So I hate those. I hate those because it feels like they're putting me in a box or everybody in a box. Like, okay, this is what you do.
She feels like it makes her a bra.
A what?
A bra. You're just there for support.
Right. Okay.
My grandpa always said, if you can't be an athlete, be an athletic supporter.
Okay. Anyways,
you get that one later.
now I lost my train of thought. But my point is that I hate being put in a box. I didn't leave my career, very respectable career, so that way I could be somebody's cheerleader. Now that's just me. If we were to open up a Subway, and I think I've mentioned this before,
right?
It wouldn't be like, Jay's the owner of a Subway, and
here's his wife,
and I'm his wife. Yeah, so I feel like sometimes people make it in such a way that you lose your identity.
Ronnie's favorite thing is when our team gives a tour, and they go, "Oh, this is the CEO's office. His name's Jay. Oh, here's his wife." She freaking hates it. She gets so pissed every single time. So
cool.
So we're going to go through this topic because I will tell you up front, part of what makes Tenacity so strong is the fact that Ronnie's not a supportive spouse.
And neither is Jay, by the way. He's not a supportive spouse. He's not a cheerleader. He doesn't do any of those things. So.
No, but here's the deal. Like, our strength as a team is the fact that we're both equally in business.
Yes. Yeah, we do it together.
That we both grind 100%. We're both just as hungry. She's just as hungry to win as me. She's at the office just as much as me, if not more. And we do the business equally. We're both equally as competitive. We both want to win just as bad. We both check the scoreboard just as much. We both hate the same people in the business just as much. Like, we do everything together. That's our strength. So as we go through this topic, first of all, this isn't just about if you're a spouse. It's even if you're a business partner. If you're in business with your best friend, if you're in business with your mom or dad or your daughter or your son, you're in business with your brother or sister or your cousin. It's literally just how to work in the business when you're doing it alongside of someone else and you're doing it as equals.
Yeah, it's literally most of these are just how to work with people better. So
right, exactly.
Yeah, so if you aren't in a relationship, don't plan on being in a relationship, whatever the situation is. These are just good for just dealing with people because we're in a people business. And that's the hardest part about being in business is the people.
And let me start by saying, first of all, that in the business, there are things as significant others, but there are also such a thing that I have developed the term called an insignificant other. And I'll tell you what I mean by that is a lot of times you're trying to make the business work with someone who you're dating and they're just in the freaking way. And they're not supportive. They don't want to be in the business. They don't want to be involved. Really, more than anything, they're just holding you down. And this wasn't something we planned on talking about, but I want to throw it out there real quick because I've seen so many people, true or false, in our business whose businesses has fallen apart and they fell out of business and they ended up out of the game and it all went back to relationships.
Yep. Mm-hmm. So many people.
So many, like literally we can name you 20 or 30 that they probably could have really made it big, but they were stuck in a relationship with what we call an insignificant other, meaning that the person ain't going to be in your life 5 years from now anyways, so who gives a freaking shit? Mm-hmm. But they're stuck on it, and it totally just took them out of the game because they tried to make it work.
Right. Yeah.
So let's go through this, how to work in business with your spouse or your business partner, and really, really how to succeed. Because especially if you're blessed to be married in the business, you could blow this thing up, or it could blow up in your face. So number one, you got to know your goal up front. Going into the game, you have to know: do we want to be a power couple? Which I think that term annoys me too, because I see a bunch of dud couples calling themselves power couples. It's like you both suck. Neither one of you does shit. And then you put on your Instagram this cute picture of you at Wealth Bowl, #power couple, but you're powerful at 0-0. So that's just kind of like tarnished the term for me.
Yeah.
But do you want to be, as we call it, a badass couple in the business?
Right.
Do you want to be a cheerleader?
Yeah.
What do you want?
You can be a supportive spouse. That is definitely an option here. Like he just mentioned earlier, if you're not going to actively be in the business and help, then at least, create an environment where succeeding is still an option.
Yeah. But you got to know it when you go in that you both have to agree, right?
Right.
So the day that Ronnie quit her job and came full time, I said, "Hey, you're coming in the business with me full time." And that day there was a mutual agreement that we're going to make this shit work.
Right. No matter what.
Like it's going to work. She's not just going to cheer me on. Like she's getting in the game. And she got in the game and man, it changed everything. Our cash flow doubled in the next 5 months. And
let me tell you what it comes down to. This number one, like knowing what your goals are together. It's sitting down and saying, okay, what kind of a life do we want? What is our life going to look like 5-10 years from now? Do we want to travel? Do we want, where do we want to live? What kind of house do we want to live in? What city do we want to live in? And really writing all those things down and saying, okay, so this is how the business is going to get us there. And seeing how both of you guys fit into that and committing to that goal. That way, when it requires the late nights, when it requires you to pay your office rent versus your, car bill,
right.
Like you guys are on the same page where it's like, all right, these are the things that we're going to give up temporarily in order to get our long-term goals because those are what matter most to us. But you guys have to be on the same page because if you're not, then you're going to clash. You're going to clash. You're going to say, okay, do we give up the, getting our hair done, getting, the massages, whatever extra stuff that you have versus, let's invest in our business. You guys have to be on the same page.
Here's the problem though, because I know some people are listening and they don't have support from their significant other, or their business partner or whoever they want their business partner to be. It's, but my wife doesn't believe in the business. My husband doesn't believe in the business. I want to address something real quick. It's not always that they don't believe in the business. It's that they don't believe in you.
Right. Because
now, that's going to hurt. But
yeah.
Because why?
Because if you were making money and getting results, they would believe in the business.
Correct. So it's the fact that you haven't proven that you can make this thing work.
Right.
If you ever watch Shark Tank, there's a lot of times when they look at the business and they go, I don't know, man. But I really like you, so I'm going to make you a deal because I know you will find a way to get it done. Even if the product sucks, we'll make adjustments, but you are not going to fail.
Yeah.
And so they make a bet on the person. And so a lot of us, we have to earn support. Now, you hear it all the time. Spousal support can be bought. Okay, that's true, though. Is that you got to go win. Sometimes you got to prove yourself. Maybe you don't come with a track record of success, and so you have to earn it.
Yeah.
And you got to prove it. But as you enter the business, or you're getting, like, remember, Ronnie didn't come in business with me from day one. Okay? She was in business with me. How long was I in the game before you came in?
I want to say a whole year.
Yeah, it was a little over a year. It was like 14 months.
Yeah.
Where she was in school, and then she was working full time, and then I was trying to make this thing work because I had just left the fire department. So I was in business for the first 12, 13, 14 months alone, but she went with me to the big events. It wasn't that she didn't want anything to do with the business. It's that, number one, I was making it happen, and I had to prove it. And then she was busy, so she would come to the events. She would go to Vegas conventions. She went to Spring Sizzler. She went to stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And I sold her on that. I'm like, come on, I think I might get an award. Like, I want you to come. So she showed up. I was like, yeah, everyone goes. So she came. But it's not, I don't want you to look and just be like, oh, Jay and Ronnie started in April of 2011 together. They both signed an AMA, and now look. It wasn't like that.
Right.
There was a transition. Yeah.
And sometimes I think it's easier when you do start in business together. But that's a whole other, topic. But it's really what he was talking about, just earning that. And sometimes it's not, you're like, well, I'm not making money, but I'm working. But like, are you really working? Because I could tell the days that he was like grinding it out, and I could tell the days that he was kind of lax on it. You could just tell. And so on the days where I knew he was out there, he was getting numbers, he was doing everything he could, dude, I was like, dude, go for it. You're good. I got the bills. You're good. Just do what you got to do to make it happen.
Yeah. So a big question as you start in the business is this going to be his thing or her thing or my thing or your thing, or is it going to be what?
Our thing.
Is it going to be our thing? Mm-hmm. Is this going to be something that we do together?
Yeah.
Because like she said, if someone was in real estate and they owned a real estate company, they wouldn't be like, oh, this is Jay. He owns a real estate company. And here's his wife. Or, hey, here's Ronnie. She owns a real estate company. And here's Jay. It's not that. It's that this becomes our thing. Yep. I think only in WFG do we separate it.
Right.
By who we see on stage, or we separate it by who...
whose agent code comes up on the reports.
Yeah, which the reality is that you can't both come up on the reports.
Yeah, only one can.
And so you have to decide that. And that's number one.
Yeah, cool. Number two. This is where a lot of people are going to struggle with, because we all have them. We're in business. We want to make money, so we have egos. So number two is to check your ego. No egos allowed. And I think that comes down to, especially in the beginning of business, there's going to be a lot of things that both of you guys don't want to do, right? Like just like trying to get this thing up and running off the ground. Like there's going to be things that you don't want to do. And so the worst attitude you can have is, well, I'm not going to do that. That's not my job. Everything is your job in the beginning, right?
Yeah.
Until you can hire staff, then everything is your job.
And even then, it's still your job.
Because
you delegate, but it's still your
business.
Responsibility.
Yeah,
right.
It's your business. So I think checking your ego right from the beginning is very important. Because remember, number one, we said these are our goals, and we're going to do whatever it takes to hit them. We're in agreement on that. So the second part is checking yourself. Yeah.
Ego kills a lot. Ego kills relationships. A lot of times when you and your spouse sit around and you fight in the business, that's because of your ego. Mm-hmm. That's why you're fighting. Otherwise, what the heck is there to fight about?
Right.
It's the fact that someone's ego's hurt. Things like you go to Fast Start School and you guys are a 3-minute speaker. Who speaks? Mm. Moments like that are when people's ego gets hurt. And so you have to know up front, like, hey, we're going to do this together as a couple. No egos allowed. We just both grind. We both do our thing. We're both equally important. And make it that way. Brand it that way.
Yeah. It's up to you how people look at you.
People only treat you the way you let them treat you. Mm-hmm. And so if you want to be a freaking big shot, then do big shot shit. Don't sit around and whine and complain and cry about everything. Like, you want stage time, freaking earn stage time.
Yeah.
And so no ego, because the ego gets in the way, and then ego becomes this fight, and there's resentment between you and your business partner, you and your spouse, you and your significant other, whoever you're doing the business with. And then there's this constant tension because you don't communicate. So communication is a really, really, really big deal.
Oh, heck yeah. Yeah. And I think ego comes into play a lot when you're trying to like correct each other.
Right.
You know, when you're trying to say like, oh, you're not doing it the best way. You're not doing the most, I don't agree with the way you're doing it. And that comes into communication. It's okay to give each other constructive criticism, but the key point is that it's constructive, not just you're screwing this up. It's, you know, hey, what do you think about this? Doing it this way instead, and really opening it up to that conversation and knowing that you may not be right and he may not be right. You know, whatever the situation is.
Yeah, and allowing each other to make decisions, but also making decisions together.
Mm-hmm.
So you're not always going to consult each other for every freaking thing.
Right.
So it's Ronnie allowing me to make decisions where I don't always have to, hey, what do you think of this? Hey, should we do this? Hey, should we do this? Hey, should we do this? Oh, you didn't run it by me. You didn't run it by me. Like, no, you allow each other to make decisions, but you also have a habit of making decisions together.
Right.
And communicating. So you can never go wrong if you over communicate.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And if you over communicate, you can protect each other's egos. Number 3 is a big one. You got to respect each other.
Yes, this is huge. You never, ever, ever want to fight or put each other down, or really even I would even go as far to say disagree, like in front of the team.
Right.
Your team should see you guys as a united front always. You know, as a kid, I mean, this is not my situation, but definitely I had friends who, you know, they knew if they went and asked mom and mom said no, they'd go and ask dad, you know, and you don't want that to be the situation in your office where it's like, oh, they know, you know, who to go to get the answer that they want. You guys should always be on the same page as far as, you know, everything goes. And your team should see you as a united front that's, you know, on the same page.
Yep.
Always.
And so part of it is when you respect each other is don't fight. Mm-hmm. Don't be a crybaby. That's another one. Like, don't freaking be a crybaby where you cry about everything. Some people, they just cry about everything. Mm-hmm. They cry a lot. They're overly sensitive. Don't be sensitive. You know, it's funny. There was a time in our business when Ronnie was like acting as assistant for our team. And she wasn't my assistant, but she was doing all the assistant work. And I remember one time when I said, hey, I need you to get this done. And she looks at me and she goes, excuse me?
Yeah.
And I was like, what? She's like, I'm your wife. So you mean, hey, babe, can you please get this done?
Yeah.
I was like, oh, yes, okay. Can you please get this done? But, you know, sometimes when you're moving and you're on the hurry and you're in a rush and you're grinding, you're not trying to come off insensitive. You're just in a hurry and you're being direct. And so number 1 is don't be an asshole in the way you communicate with each other. Number 2 is don't be overly sensitive and don't be a crybaby in the way that you communicate with each other.
Right.
And it's just part of respecting each other. Also, don't talk down to each other.
Yeah, definitely.
What's that look like?
I don't know. I don't know.
Well, the opposite would be to always edify each other.
Right.
Lift each other up.
Yeah.
You know, create space for each other.
Yeah. Exactly.
All right, let's go to number 4. Cool.
Number 4, finding your lane. This is really you just have to ask yourself. This is how you start. You start by asking yourself, what are your strengths? And then you work your way from there. So what are you good at? What are you just naturally, what are your God-given skills and talents that you naturally gravitate towards? And start with those in the business. If you don't know where to start, I always say just start with that. Like, you're going to have to learn how to do everything, and you're going to ultimately have to do everything, but you can play to your strengths, especially if there's two of you. Now, if you both happen to have all the same strengths and you both dislike all the same stuff, then you're going to have to figure out, you know, which ones you're going to cover, which ones, you know, you're going to both tackle, whatnot. You guys really have to have that conversation. It's going to take some time for you to figure that out. You're not going to figure it out on day 1. It's going to take you getting in there, putting in some work, figuring out what you're good at, and kind of trial and error and saying, all right, you know, this is where I really shine, but I'm also going to do these things. You know, because I think we both do things that we love and we both do things that we don't really love, right? Mm-hmm. Would you agree?
Yeah.
It's just part of the business. So I would say start there, but don't expect to stay there. Like I mentioned, you're going to have to do things on both ends of the spectrum.
People, I already know what you guys are thinking. Well, who goes in the field? Who runs appointments? You know, who does the recruiting? Who does the back end of the business? There's a lot of different spots in the business. People always think front end, back end, which is stupid. That's just WFG like lingo, but it's completely false. Are you building a team or are you trying to run a company? So, for example, people just think, oh, if Jay does all the field training, then Ronnie must do all the back end. But that's actually not right. So there's the front end, there's the field training, there's the operations of the entire team, then there's the following up on business, there's the certifying people, making calls, security side. I mean, there's so many parts of the business. It's just not field training and assistant. Like, that's not how it works. And so if you're sitting there and you're going, well, what do they do? I already know this, what you're thinking. Because every time I speak at another office, it's the number one question I always get. You got to figure out what you love, like Ronnie said. And then also, like, what are you good at, like Ronnie said. But then also is just the fact that, like she said, everything has to get done.
Yeah.
So for me, in the beginning, I was doing all of it because I had to do all of it. Now, can you do all of it as good as you would if you were splitting it up? No, of course not. Because you got to have a world-class staff and you got to have that stuff. But I'll tell you, like, what we do, we can both run appointments. Ronnie's got all her securities licenses, 6, 63, 65, 26. She does all the securities business. We could both run appointments. We could both fast start someone. We could both field train somebody. But when you work together, it's about being able to be in more than one place at a time. Mm-hmm. And I think that's the ultimate goal.
Right.
Is to be in more than one place at a time. So I run appointments 90% of the time. That's what I do. Ronnie fills the calendar 90% of the time. That's what she does. She certifies all of our field trainers. So when someone's coming in, I'm training them. She's working with them, and then they're going to go through to get certified where they can start running appointments on their own. They go to her. They do all their presentation with her. She certifies them. She's the one who signs them off, makes them come back, do it again, all that stuff. So we both pretty much can do it. We can both do everything. The question is, what do you do? What's the most effective way of doing it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And only you can answer that.
But you find it out by trial and error. I mean,
yeah.
And it goes through stages. There was a time when Ronnie left from doing like all the follow-up on policies and all that stuff to coming full-time on just like on the field. And she took about 60 to 90 days to kind of figure out exactly where all the sweet spots were that could really ramp up our team and ramp up our business. But once it was figured out, man, it was game over.
Yeah. Yeah. It totally changed our business. So you have to be open to change because it is going to change. It's not going to be the same. Whatever, you guys end up doing day one in the business, what you're going to do on the daily basis is going to change from day 1 to day 100. And then year 3
right.
and 5 and 10, So,
yeah, for sure. For sure. And then also it's like I said, just figure out what's the way that we could be the most effective and be in more than one place at a time.
Yeah.
So if I'm running an appointment today, I run 5 appointments and Ronnie books 10. It's like I can't even run them fast enough to get them off the calendar.
Right.
As fast as I run 5, she just booked twice as many for our schedule. And it's like this, it's this constant powerful flow where we never run dry. We're never empty on the calendar. I mean, and it's the fact that we're in more than one place at a time. So also I'll tell you, a lot of it goes back to your leadership. So if your leadership tells you, oh, you could both go in the field, then both go in the field. If you only want one of you to go in the field and someone to work with the team at the same time, I mean, you figure it out. You figure out what works best.
What I always tell people is don't put yourself in a box. You can do whatever you want. Whatever you want to do, you can freaking do it. Yep. Like you went into business to be able to do whatever you want. So don't put yourself in a box of, this is the mold that you have to fit.
Correct.
We have people who are in business together and they have all different types of roles. Like literally no 2 people do the same exact thing as the other. And I think that's important because you have to play to your skills and you have to play to your strengths. And so don't put yourself in a box. You're just going to make yourself miserable.
And the only time though that doesn't work is I guarantee you every single time that what she's telling you right now doesn't work, it's because your ego is in the way. Mm-hmm. One of the 2 of you or both of you. It's an ego thing. So I don't want to do that. I want to do this. Look, there's no job that's more important than the other.
Exactly.
The person on stage is not more important than the person off stage. It doesn't mean shit. It literally does not matter. There's no role that's more important. A lot of times the most important things that you could be doing are the ones that you don't see. You know, so don't get confused of, well, but I want to do that. That's more fun. Or, you know, that none of that crap matters, man. Prospecting. You should both be prospecting. Get out and prospect. Get out and recruit. Run appointments. I mean, especially if you're just starting out and you haven't figured this stuff out yet, that means you're not at a point where you could be picking and choosing.
Right.
Just do it all. Okay, let's move on.
Yes.
Number 5.
Number 5, don't be dead weight.
Yep.
That's
What's that mean?
I think we covered this a little bit in the beginning, but it's if you're gonna say, yeah, we're gonna do this together, this is gonna be our business, you can't be the one who's holding back the team. You know, you can't be they can't be doing what they're supposed to be doing and then also pick up your dead weight because you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing. And that goes on, I think, all levels. I think that goes on to the literal level of, you know, you were supposed to make some phone calls today, but you just didn't for whatever reason, and now they got to pick up the slack. Or on an emotional level where it's like you're just, you know, dragging the team down, and they gotta lift you up and carry you emotionally through every single day. That's also draining. I think both of those come into play, and it's you taking responsibility for your energy levels, your enthusiasm, your goals, what you're supposed to do every single day. I don't have to tell him what to do on a daily basis. He doesn't have to tell me what to do on a daily basis. We both know what the goal is, and we both do it.
And if you're struggling with that because your spouse isn't pulling their weight, you have to find a way to enroll them into everything where they're excited, man, where you could paint them a picture of, look, this is what our life's going to look like 5-10 years from now.
Yeah.
This is what our life's going to look like in 6 months. I need you to get on board. Like, I know I haven't made it happen yet. Maybe I haven't proven myself yet, but trust me, like, give me a shot. I need you to help me.
Yep.
You know, because part of it's you just enrolling them. You got to freaking enroll them. You got to sell them the dream. I mean, if you can't sell your spouse the dream, who the heck are you going to sell the dream?
Yeah, that's the first person you have to sell the dream to.
Dude.
That's your practice, and then you can, you know, go do it with the rest of your team. But
paint the picture.
Yeah.
Paint the picture, enroll them, get them excited about it.
Right.
You know, sometimes it's going to take time. I'm telling you right now that maybe you haven't earned that yet and you're not there yet. But what are you waiting for? Them not being in the game with you is not an excuse for you not to win. It's a reason why you really, emergency state, need to make this happen.
Yeah, exactly.
Because you got to fire them up. You start getting some checks, they're going to start to go, okay, man, this shit is real.
Yeah.
It's impossible. Guys, I guarantee you there's not a single freaking spouse in WFG, not a single one, male or female, who's collecting $10,000 a month in the business and at home and hates WFG. There's not one. Not one. There's not a single one in the company who's sitting at home collecting $10,000 at least a month, even $5,000. I guarantee you, even $5,000 goes, I effing hate that thing that you go to every Tuesday night. Not even one, man. The only ones mad are the ones that aren't making no damn money.
Yeah.
And it's your fault if you're not making money.
Absolutely. Which brings us into our next point, which is you adding energy to the relationship. It's literally what he was just talking about. It's you adding that energy, that excitement, that conviction that, hey, this is where we're going. This is what we're doing. Because guess what? Like, you're in business, you're going to have sucky times.
Yep.
Things aren't always going to go your way. You're going to have great month. And then, like, what the hell happened month, right? It's just part of business. Any business, by the way, not just here. Some people think it's just isolated to this business. No, it's every single business.
Yep.
So it's you being able to snap each other out of it, being on the same mentality of like, all right, this is not a bad career. It's not a bad year. It's not a bad month. It's just a bad day, you know, or it's just whatever the situation is. It's like you guys have to be on the same energy level and not drag the other person down. Every single time that you guys are together, it should be an energizing conversation, not an energy sucking conversation.
So how do you do that? Walk us through. Walk us through what that conversation looks like.
When you're having a bad day.
You're in charge back hell, right? So now what?
Look, you get like 5 minutes I think this is what is our rule. You get 5 minutes, or I like to say in the office, you get one rant a day. You get one rant, just get it out of your system.
I don't rant, by the way. I'm not a ranter.
Yeah, he's an internalizer. And
Ronnie's a ranter.
He's more passive aggressive.
No more.
Yeah. So you get to rant, right? Whatever you got to do to just get it out of your system. I'm a ranter. I just go on a monologue for like 2 minutes and then I'm good.
20 minutes.
It's not 20 minutes. It's
30 minutes.
It's not 30 minutes. It's literally like 2 minutes. But that's why I don't rant to him, because he can't take it. So it's 2 minutes of ranting, getting it out of your system, and then going, okay, now what are we going to do about it? We're very action oriented when it comes to dealing with difficult situations.
Who do you rant to?
To Sergio.
Oh, to Sergio. Oh,
Sergio and I just rant to each other. We're just like, all right, you go. That's
you guys are both ranters.
That's your one for the day. And then we're like, cool. So then we're like action oriented. All right, this is what we're going to do about it. So if the situation is you're stuck in chargebacks, and stuck is a very relative term because you're just stuck there as long as you want to be. So you're stuck there. You're like, all right, so what are the policies that we have that we need to get approved? Okay. Is there anything we need to do on them? What can we get delivered? When can we get it delivered? Just really like, all right, and writing it down and going, okay, this is what we have in the pipeline. That way, you know, there's an action plan. Who can we sit with? How many first client appointments do we have? How many closing client appointments do we have?
Right.
How many lists do we have to call?
Who can
New
we
appointments. There's just so many things that you can do versus just sitting around and feeling like crap.
And I'll tell you, though, what most people don't do is that. Instead, they sit around, they get mad, they become a victim, they start crying about it, and then they blame each other.
Yeah, they go,
well, you didn't
why
have any
you
appointments
do that?
this year. Why didn't you close?
You didn't deliver that policy.
Yeah, it's like, dude, that shit
doesn't help. You didn't check the right box, and I go, like, you can.
That does not help, man.
It's just a spiral.
And then they sit around, they just fight.
Mm-hmm.
Don't fight. What good does that do? If you're going to fight, the energy you're putting towards a fight, you could be putting towards going out and getting a freaking recruit or getting someone fast started. But people get mad, the ego gets in the way, they start blaming each other because they're both frustrated, and that solves nothing.
Right.
Absolutely nothing. Be action oriented. Put your freaking head down. If you got to leave the house and go do something that's productive. Go make calls. Go book some guests for your BPM. Call your coach. Hey, coach, we're frustrated. What should we be doing? But don't sit around and fight. Like, that doesn't do any good, and it doesn't move you forward at all.
Yeah. And realize that this is like your best teammate. Ultimately, at the end of the day, this is your ride or die. This is going to be the person who's got your back. And so you need to treat them like that. And so blaming and, putting all this negative energy on them is just not good. You guys want to be, people who recharge each other, not suck out all the energy.
Yeah, otherwise you start thinking small, and then it becomes like, man, maybe you should have stayed at your job. Well, maybe you should go get a job. But what the fuck? Why am I going to get a job? You go get a job. Like, what the hell? I ain't getting a job. And then it's a bad pattern.
Right.
So don't do any of that. Mm-mm. Last one.
Super important. I think this was, I heard this somewhere.
Rich Tholley.
Okay. Rich Tholley in the beginning of business. I don't remember where it was, if it was one of his webinars or if it was at Vegas. I can't remember. But anyways, the point is he said, if you're working together in business, if you don't grow together, you'll grow apart. And that really stuck with me because especially in the beginning of business, he was full time and I was working and going to school full time. So I wasn't there with him doing the business. And so he said, you got to make sure you're reading the same books. You got to make sure you're going to the same events. You got to be putting the same stuff in your head. Otherwise, you're going to be raising your mentality and they're still going to be stuck down here. And that's where you're going to clash because you're not thinking the same.
Right.
It's like you're going to be talking to a stranger eventually. And so you have to go to all the events, all of them. Because they're going to come home. If you didn't go to that event, they're going to come home. They're going to be excited. They're going to be like, we need to do this, this, and this. And you're going to be like, what are you so excited about? Right. I don't get it. You're just not going to get it. And there's going to be that disconnect. And that disconnect is going to start off small and then keep growing and growing and growing. Where, like I said, you guys are strangers now. So you guys need to commit to growing together. We read the same books. We listen to the same podcasts.
Yeah.
We share videos with each other. We have gone to 10X conference. We've gone to Tony Robbins together, and then obviously we do all the company events together.
Yeah.
But we've just always been on the same growth path where it's like, are you reading? Yeah, I'm reading this. What are you reading? Right. And then we swap and it just helps us, stay on the same page.
If you get in a constant fight with yourself, of trying to get to the next level and getting better, that's how this works.
Yeah.
It's this constant battle of where you're fighting with yourself on, man, where do I need to grow? Mm-hmm. What can I be doing? What can I do? Not just business, by the way, to become a better husband, a better wife, a better father, better mother, better teammate. It's just becoming better all
Better
around.
person.
Better with your money. Better in the decisions that you make. A lot of that's, if you could eliminate a lot of bad decisions, it'll make your relationship a lot better in the business.
Right.
Every time you screw something up that's important, then you got to go back and you got to fix it. So in the business, you've got rubber balls, plastic balls, and glass balls. And these are the different balls that you can drop in the business. But if you drop a rubber ball, it's not a big deal. Which means you forgot to make a call, something like that. It's not a big deal. The ball bounces, it's fine. You never know. Plastic ball, though, those are things that are more important. Maybe you drop a plastic ball, which is, I don't know, you're late for an appointment. You forgot an appointment for one of your teammates or something like that. But glass balls are the ones that when you drop them, they shatter. Plastic balls, they crack. Glass balls shatter. And sometimes things you say when you're upset in the business and then you get in an argument with your spouse, that's a glass ball. Like those are things that you can't necessarily take back. This is why you got to grow together. You got to work on getting better in every area. You don't want to be dropping glass balls. And if you're improving, you don't have to worry about that as much.
Right.
But enroll your spouse in the growth process. Hey, especially if they're not, a lot of your spouse isn't in the business. So, hey, I want you to come to this event. I might get an award. Hey, I want you to come. I might be speaking. This is how you enroll them in the process. One of the most powerful things that you can do to get your spouse involved is for you not to do it. It's to leverage other people. It's why you get them to events. It's why you have them reading books. It's why you send them videos. Things that will communicate to them, but not through you. Especially if they already have a negative outlook because you're lazy and you haven't done nothing. Have other people, authors, videos, podcasts. Maybe send them this podcast. I don't know. Do something that maybe leverages somebody else instead of yourself. And I'll tell you as we finish up that sometimes business is lonely. Especially if you're just starting out and maybe you're single. You're like, dude, I don't have a partner. That's the problem is I don't have a partner. Sometimes it's lonely in the business, but whether you're single or you're coupled up in some way, shape, or form, dude, it's not an excuse. Mm-mm. There are single people that are whooping your butt every single day at the top of the company. I hate when I hear, well, man, it's so much harder because I don't have a spouse. Like there are a lot of people that have a spouse that wish they didn't. So perspective is everything.
Oh my God.
Right? True or false?
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
All these lonely people on Valentine's Day, there are a lot of people that are not lonely that wish they were. So perspective is everything. And I don't sugarcoat nothing. I ain't Willy Wonka. So at the end of the day, it's not an excuse. Single, married, you got two going on, whatever you got going on. It doesn't matter. It is not a freaking excuse. You win anyway. It doesn't make a difference. Mm-hmm. You can still do it. But if you can find someone who wants to do it as bad as you and wants to win as bad as you, man, it makes it twice as fun.
Yeah. And like we said in the beginning, apply this to all your teammates. Every single point, for the most part, apply this to all your teammates. Grow with your teammates. Learn how to communicate with them. Learn how to work better with them. And you can't lose.
Yep. Learn how to communicate is exactly what it is.
Yep.
Yeah. You nailed it.
All right, guys. Well, as always, we appreciate everything. We appreciate the support. We appreciate, like you said in the beginning, all the sharing, the commenting, the liking. So please keep doing it. It doesn't go unnoticed. And, we love you guys.
Hey, as we finish up, one thing I want to tell you, because this is how my brain works. If you got someone that doesn't support you, don't freaking prove them right and quit. Do not do that. They don't think you're going to make it. The last thing you ever do is prove them right and quit. Never. Do not quit. Don't give in. Don't give anyone the satisfaction.
Yep.
All right, we're done.
All right, bye, guys.